Delta has to apologize because they decided, well, to say something, in my opinion, quite insanely bigoted, racist, and showing of their culture unchecked.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Put it up. So per the Washington Post, Delta Airlines apologized Thursday for a now deleted post on its X account that appeared to sympathize with a social media user who complained about flight attendants wearing Palestinian flag pins. And what's the issue with that? They were wearing these flag pins on their uniforms. The X user posted 2 pictures Tuesday of a Delta flight attendant donning the pins and called the accessories Hamas badges. What? The full post read, quote, since 2001, we take our shoes off in every airport because of terrorist attack in US soil. Now imagine getting into a Delta flight and seeing workers with Hamas badges in the air. What do? The next day, Delta replied to the post, okay? So Delta replied, the airline wrote per screenshots of the deleted response, quote, I hear you, as I'd be terrified as well. Personally, our employees reflect our culture, and we do not take it lightly when our policy is not being followed. Delta. What? What the? I mean, they literally could have just ignored it. You understand? This was just somebody posted on social media. But they needed to say something. And did you talk to somebody, whoever did the actual response? Anyway, Delta spokesperson, okay, in a statement to the Washington Post on Thursday, said that the airline social media post, quote, was not in line with our values and our mission, end quote. The spokesperson said the team member who wrote the post has been counseled and no longer supports Delta's social channels, but did not specify whether the team members still work for Delta. The flight attendants who were photographed on separate flights are still working for the airline and have received support from the company, Delta said in a statement. Although it previously permitted pins representing countries outside of the United States to be worn on uniforms, Delta said that starting Monday, only US flag pins will be allowed. A move the airline said it made in response to this week's incident. We have really just gone to the loony bin, okay? Delta, as a company, is an internationally connected corporation. They brag about how they have these connectors to international regions. Fly with Delta. They work with international companies. They have relationships with international agencies. But because of, and this is the part that you have to never forget, because somebody wore a Palestinian flag pin, okay? Their entire policy has changed. How does this happen? How? This is rooted in bigotry and racism, rhetoric and lies. That's how this happens. So we know the truth. Delta clearly knows the truth. They said the employee was wrong for posting that on social media, but we're going to change the rule to make what that employee said right. Because under the new rules, what the employee said would in fact now be an actual violation of Delta policy. There's more. Palestinian activists condemned Delta's response, prompting some social media users to plan a boycott. Edward Ahmed Mitchell, the National Deputy Executive Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, a Muslim civil rights and advocacy group, told the Post he initially hoped Delta's tweet had not been written by someone who actually worked at the airline. That was his hope at first. He also said the post could make people think the Palestinian flag is an icon of a hate group. Mitchell told the Post, quote, what happened with Delta is just the latest example of an anti-Palestinian racism. That's correct. Adding that the organization welcomed Delta's apology, quote, and my hope is that this incident will begin to slowly move the needle in a different direction. The organization said in April that it had received more than 8,000 civil rights complaints in 2023, the highest in its 30-year history. Palestinian Americans have faced fear and violence amid the war in Gaza. The Post reported with their support for civilians in the Gaza Strip misconstrued as support for Hamas, the militant group that has governed Gaza since 2006 in one form, some more than others. The flag, Hamas's flag, has Islamic text. It's on a green background, while the Palestinian flag is a black, white, and green tricolor flag with red triangle on the left, very easily distinguishable. Federal officials said last year that they had identified a spike in threats against Arab, Jewish, and Muslim communities after the war began. Israel launched a military assault in Gaza. After Hamas militants crossed the border into Israel, this was October 7th, killing 1,200 people and taking some 250 hostage, according to the report. More than 38,000 Palestinians have died in the enclave in the past 9 months. And by the way, much of this has been supported by the current administration in America. Israel's war in Gaza, the rising death toll have triggered protests across the United States, including in corporate America in April. Google fired 28 employees for publicly protesting a contract Google held with the Israeli government. We've seen the college campus protests, et cetera, et cetera. I gotta say this though, I'm encouraged by the young people who are standing up and doing what is right. You see, they will not be denied because all of those individuals that you are arresting on college campuses, all of those individuals that you have suspended or expelled or decided to kick out of college because they dare to stand up, those are among the future leaders of this nation. So no matter what happens, at some point, they will be in charge of this country. I want every young person to remember that and never forget what this government attempted to do to you because you stood up for humanity, you stood up for people. And let us not act as if we do not see what's really happening. What the Israeli government did was launch a proxy war. They wanted you to believe they had no choice but to kill Palestinians in order to find Hamas. So they indiscriminately killed Palestinians, but they never would have done that if Hamas was hiding in Israel. Would they have indiscriminately killed Israelis? Of course not. This shows you their de-evaluation of life. And it also shows you the reality of the insensitivity connected to this entire massive bloodshed before our eyes. Francesca, thoughts here?
I think that's beautifully said, Doc. I thank you for saying that. And look, I mean, there's a correlation here. These are young brown Americans, right? They're Arab, they're Muslim, they're black, they're Latino, and they are wearing pins at their job. They are wearing a keffiyeh as they're delivering Uber Eats, as we saw, when a Karen flipped out at that young kid. And you're just like, here we have a movement, here we have a politics that's infecting everyone because these young people, just like anyone who's remained in touch with their humanity, is saying no more genocide. Stop the indiscriminate killing. And so then you have, again, a corporate policy being completely changed in order to create the Palestinian exception. It's okay to wear pins. Let's say if pins in solidarity with Ukraine, an American flag pin, or just where you're from, wherever pin. Oh, but now the Palestine flag is being used. No, well, we're gonna carve out a Palestine exception. It's across the board. It's in American universities. It's in American corporations. It's in every industry. This is truly the one thing you can get actually canceled for, but none of the right is actually speaking up about it at all. And here we have it. And sadly, you have a candidate for president and a president who is not responding to the very real concerns of his electorate about stopping this war and ending money and weapons to Israel.
That's right. Very well said. Obviously, we will bring updates as updates come from this. I assume the workers may file suit. We shall see.